Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Cousin
Connection
Podcast.
I didn't even acknowledge how perfect that was this time.
You just did? My name is Sarah.
My name is Amir.
And we just want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Today, we're doing a bit of a freestyle conversation. Amir does not know what I'm about to speak about.
Nada. Just go ahead.
I could bring up makeup. He doesn't even know.
I could talk hours about anything.
You don't know nothing about makeup, first of all.
I am a podcast pro at this point. 10 episodes in.
Okay, so this week, this is a topic that I am very passionate about. It's something that, I've casually mentioned to him, to other people that I just have these conversations with.
Yeah.
But this week I wanted to talk about how to bounce back after you have hit rock bottom. And that's a very vague, it's a broad phrase.
Because everybody's rock bottom is different.
Exactly. You said it out of my head.
Yo,
does that make sense?
You got that connection. That's what that's for.
The cousin connection. Now, I want to start off by asking you, and this is going to be one of those vulnerable, we're going to be honest, as honest as possible. Okay. Have you, in your life, ever felt like you have reached a point in rock bottom?
Yeah, I feel like for my idea of what rock bottom is, I probably hit it twice in my life. But maybe I'll go into this later. We'll go into it now. I feel like those were the best things that could have happened to me at those times in my life.
Wow.
And they changed me for the better. Because when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go, which is up. And I feel like both times that I've hit for what I thought was rock bottom, I've learned the most from them.
Do you feel like
I've evolved the most from those situations.
Looking back now, from where you are at this point, do you feel like if those situations were to happen to you now, would you still consider it as a rock bottom? Or do you feel like you're stronger now that it won't seem as if...
No, I wouldn't. Now I wouldn't consider them rock bottom for if I take it into perspective of what I've seen from other people when they've hit rock bottom. But yeah, it's definitely something that I think of it in more of a positive light now. I don't think about it negatively at all. So
you kind of see it challenge accepted.
Exactly.
I got this.
Yeah.
How did you deal with it? Did you what's your process? How do you go through dealing with that kind of thing?
Well, the first time I hit rock bottom was what I consider rock bottom was right after my first year of university.
Oh my God.
This was a time where I hated university. I wasn't doing any schoolwork. They were getting ready to kick me out, and they were giving me that second chance or whatever. And I was like, do I even want to do this anymore? That kind of thing. And especially when you grow up in a household, and we were speaking about this in previous podcasts, when you grow up in a community or a household where your educational success is number one priority. So that can feel like if you're not be successful in this, what are you doing? You feel like you're not.
Did you attribute
your failure in everyone's eyes, basically?
Did you attribute your self-worth to how you were doing at school?
Yes, that was a big thing. And that's why I feel like I learned a lot from that situation, because what came out of that is that I took a break. And then I chose what I wanted to do next. Yeah. And I didn't take in, and at that point I was I think I kind of explained to my parents exactly what I was going through at that time, and they understood, okay, maybe university isn't the only option kind of thing, right?
And that's when I took the next step. Who drilled that into their heads?
Yeah, well, it's the immigrant plan, right? It's you have a kid in this country, you make sure they get a successful job so they can take care of you in the future and send money back home. Yeah,
literally. That's the recipe for poster child. If you want your parents
and also because they can boast about it to all their other friends.
My child went to University of Toronto.
Yeah, definitely.
What did they do there, though? They studied art, okay? And even then, art is a fantastic degree. Yeah. Whoever has one, you probably hella talented, just saying. But you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, so how would you... For that was for the first experience. What about the second one? How did you deal with that?
Well, the second experience came down just to more an emotional state where I was thinking more like, you know how you have a lot of those pressures in life, like you should be getting married. Like this was more recent. This was maybe like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. But like you have all those thoughts in your mind. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm a very introspective person. I get in my head a lot. So as you're in your head, and especially I think this is around winter where like you're by yourself a lot, so you have a lot more time to kind of be in your head.
Seasonal depression is
a
real thing.
Yeah, and it was really bad at that point because I was like, I'm turning like 27. I'm still not married. Like I have an okay job, but maybe I'm not making as much as I thought I should be at this time. I don't really see what I'm going from here, what I have to do next. And a lot of these things that were in my head were coming from like outside pressure. I
was just going to ask you, like, is this pressure something you put on yourself because of what people were saying to you? Or was it someone really just saying, Amir, like you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to do
that's what a lot of the problems came from was me listening to other people and taking that to heart. And like, of course they all are looking out for the best for you.
Right.
But eventually you have to be able to like look at yourself and say, what do I want?
Right.
And go from there. And that's what I learned from that situation, to start thinking for myself and stop, of course, give some credence to what they're saying because they are still looking out for the best for you. But at least don't forget about yourself and your own self-worth and happiness and all of that.
But how did you come out of that headspace? Because it's not as simple as snapping your fingers saying, yeah, I'm not going to listen to them. I need to like do me. Like it really takes a lot of work. Like how did you go from being at that rock bottom place to then having a more positive outlook on that situation?
Honestly, it just took, first thing, it took time. Like I was just kind of, I guess another positive thing of being in your head a lot is that you trying to analyze why you're feeling this way and things you can do to make it better, put yourself in a better position. So I started reading more, of course, started praying more, like outside of the applications, just like praying more. And I know it's probably not the same solution for everyone, but this is just what I did. And reading really did help. Reading was actually a big part of it. Like it gave me a better perspective on life in general.
Yeah.
And just putting everything into perspective really helped. Like being like, okay, so no matter what, I still kind of somewhat won the lottery in where I am in life. Like I'm in a first world country. I don't have to worry about bombs falling on top of me.
That's true.
I don't have to worry about where my next meal is going to come from.
Yeah.
Like, even though I might not be making the most money in the world, there are a lot of people who are working for like less than $1 a day.
Very
so
true.
I think putting all that stuff in perspective really helped, and just kind of reinforcing those more positive thoughts.
Yeah.
And trying to push away a lot of those negative thoughts. And just that over time really just helped. And also putting things more into my life. Like the first time that I felt like I hit rock bottom, that's when I first started working out, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so a big stress reliever, because at this point I wasn't in school, I was taking a break, but I felt like I need to do something outside of just working like a part-time job. So I started working out, and I started like, doing more research into working out, and essentially that's when my gym rat origin started.
You were dedicated.
Yeah, and honestly, going to the gym is like change my life for the better, because like it changed your mindset. It's really good. It's a mood changer.
Yeah,
it's like a natural drug basically that you can do after you work out. Like you just feel naturally better.
Yeah. Did it help like with your confidence? Like
yeah,
overall?
Exactly. Overall confidence to help with that. I just feel like it just starting that, having a routine. I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
having a routine really helped. And I think also in that second time that I felt like I had rock bottom, that's maybe something else I can add to it. I added more to my routine,
right,
that would distract me from those negative thoughts and eventually lead me to more of a positive outlook on life.
Do you think because the second time you developed this routine of reading and possibly going on walks and just working out in general, do you feel like that saved you from hitting rock bottom during quarantine?
Yeah, definitely. Having routine definitely saved me. I feel like I'm so thankful that I had a routine before COVID.
Yep.
Because if I didn't, I feel like I would be in a lot of situations. I would be in the same situation as a lot of people where they feel, they put on that COVID weight, they feel lost, they don't I feel like they don't know what they're doing. Like,
because everything that they
where's
thought
everything going
was normal was just taken away from them.
Yeah.
And you're forced at home and you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah. And a lot of things that were part of my routine didn't involve other people. It was all like personal things, like working out, going on walks, reading.
Right.
Those are all personal things I had to do, so I didn't rely on other people for my own happiness.
Solid answer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I got to ask you the same thing.
that was really like just hearing the evolution of your answer, how it started off with like, and then like everything kind of tied together towards the end, the way that you just spoke about that. So I'm pretty like proud of you.
See?
Good job.
Tell you, man. Yeah. So I guess a big thing that came out of that is just make sure to add, if you feel like you're lost in some way, start adding some routine to your life, and start introducing more healthy hobbies or healthy lifestyle choices within that routine. Like adding routine to your meals, to your working out, to your, I don't know, being outside, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just feel like that stuff really helped, and you naturally want to be outside. So I feel like that's also a very positive thing to add to your.
But I think sometimes it's like when you're so used to doing something a certain way, the thought of having to like change scares people.
It does.
The thought of having to now introduce a new hobby that you have to first of all teach yourself, like you have to learn to stick to it. That can be so overwhelming. So like, how would you say? Like how do you start? You
start very small. Every time you start anything, never go all in at once. I know there's some people who are able to do it.
Yeah, they're all in or nothing.
Good for them. But honestly,
those are psychopaths.
Average people, your everyday person will not be able to stick to anything if they go all in at once. Yeah. So I say for anything you do, just start off slowly. If you want to start eating, let's say you want to start eating properly. Yeah. You don't have to cut out your old diet completely. Just maybe change one of your meals for that day and then stick with whatever you're eating before. And then eventually when you get used to eating that one meal, you change two of your meals to something a little bit more healthy. And then of course over time you may maybe change your third meal depending on how many meals you have a day. Right. And then when it comes to snacks, it's like, okay, maybe you just, temptation is a big thing. Maybe it's like, next time you go to the grocery store, just buy the snack that's like 10 calories less or something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to talk about this. But in other cases, let's say if you wanted to start reading, this is something more benign or like kind of just regular. Yeah. Start with literally just reading 10 minutes a day.
That's nothing.
Yeah. It feels like it's nothing, right? Yeah. But you were doing nothing. You weren't doing it before, but now you're doing it every day, right? And it's only 10 minutes. So for you, you're like, oh, it's nothing. I can do it no problem. Yeah. And then you say, okay, you know what? You get used to it. I'm going to do 15 minutes a day. And then over time, you're like, I like reading. I'm getting used to this. Let me add like 10 more minutes. Let's do 25 minutes a day. Yeah. And eventually you get to a point where you're reading like for an hour a day and you feel like you're enjoying it. Right? So just even starting very small, like you just said, it's nothing, right? Yeah. So if it's nothing, then just do it. If you want to do it, of course. Actually there's some people who don't want to do it, but if you feel like it's something good for you, then at least start with something small and then expand on that over time the more you get used to it.
I think just like introducing something new to your daily routine is exciting, and that change, although it might shock you because it's not something you're used to, it could really be good in terms of just your overall happiness. Like you're doing something new, you're doing something productive. So that's good advice.
Always start small. I'm telling you right now, it's a
you're low-key
foolproof thing. It works.
Motivational speaker at this point.
Hey, it's worked for me. That's how I started everything. I then started reading. Yeah. When I started working out, I was only working out once a week, and then I started increasing that. Yeah, I wasn't working out that often because I had when I first started working out, I had one of my coworkers who was going to a certain gym, so I just went to the same gym as him. Oh. So when he was there, he would like show me a couple things here and there, and then it was only that one day that I would see him. So if I when I started increasing 2 days, I'll start experimenting with myself, and that's when I started finding out about like there are different types of working out, like powerlifting, bodybuilding. I liked powerlifting more because you just lifted more weight and you could see the change almost immediately. But yeah, just starting small always works. Honestly, I found that it's a foolproof.
I feel motivated now.
I forget what that word is. Foolproof plan. Yeah, I guess plan. There you go.
Yes, that's the way.
Yeah. So I guess I should throw that question back onto you. So What was the initial question that you even asked? I completely forgot.
I asked you, like, have you ever experienced a rock bottom and how you overcame it?
Okay, how about you then? Have you ever experienced a rock bottom and how did you overcome it?
Of course I did. I did, yeah. A couple times. A couple times I felt like I hit rock bottom. One of the first times was actually also in school. But I think for me it was more so like just getting used to the adjustment of university life. Like I felt like a lot of my childhood and then teenage years were very sheltered. And they try to prepare you in high school by saying like, oh, wait till you get to university. It's like a whole new world.
Yeah.
But when I got there and I was alone, like I was very, very codependent on my friends in high school. So when I was on my own this time, I was like, freaking out. Like I did not handle it. In the first year, I was struggling like big time. And then even in second year, like my school journey, like I'll save that for another episode. It's really not that exciting, but that journey in university really, I would say, like broke every ounce of confidence I've ever had in me. And I actually didn't overcome that rock bottom. I was in like a constant state of rock bottom throughout my entire university.
Really?
Yeah. Like I just, fake it till you make it, obviously. Yeah. I'm not going to show up like, hey guys, I'm like low-key dying here.
And did you feel like that came from the same pressures that I mentioned earlier of like having to be successful and, making your family proud by being in university that they could
100%.
Show all their friends about or tell all their friends about, I mean?
Yeah. It was a mixture of that and just like my own internal struggles. Like I was lacking self-confidence to like the millionth degree. And so when I graduated, I actually wasn't even like, I know a lot of people are excited. They're like, okay, let's enter the workforce. I was so like, I didn't even want to go to my graduation. I didn't even care. Like I was like doing it because my parents really wanted me to go, And so I kind of just...
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
So there's something that I feel like every university student feels like near the ending of their education, I guess. Like, did you feel like once I finish this and get my graduation, I'll be so happy?
Yes.
I'll be so relieved.
I think it's called something. It's called like, I can't remember, but it's like, don't put a destination to your happiness. I think that's what it is, something like that.
That's a really good line. Maybe we can use that.
Yeah, for real though. Don't put a destination, because if you say once I reach this step or once I get to this place, I'm going to be happy. Yeah. You won't, because you're always going to be striving for more. You need to learn how to be happy with your current state, whatever you have, which I think you did like perfectly. And I commend you for that, mashallah. Like that makes me so happy, because when you're like not content with where you're at and you're just kind of like silently suffering for so long, you don't even recognize the blessings that you already have. And that was me. Yeah. So when I got to my graduation, I was like, I don't even want to be here. I don't even care. Like, I didn't even care. I really didn't. But I did it to make my parents happy. Yeah. And then there's the common struggle, which, I can talk about it. I have no problem being vulnerable in this sense. But like the struggle of finding a job in your field after university. Oh,
especially in this country. Like, I feel like you're so taken advantage of in this country when it comes to finding a job. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that, like, the odds are stacked against us. There's, like, thousands of us in the same degree, 25 positions. What about everyone else who doesn't get it? So now you're, like, working another job. It's not really your field. And you're like, whatever, I'll just do this for, like, a temporary time until I get something better. Yeah. And you're kind of just in that constant state. Yeah. Like, you're just in a funk. So for me, my rock bottom lasted, it was in waves. It was kind of like this, but it lasted honestly for, I would say, like a 4-year period.
4 years. So basically your whole university career, like you're mentioning.
Yeah. Like all of my young adult years, I was like not content in any way whatsoever. It wasn't until,
Go ahead.
This is so awkward. Okay, guys. Just know that like Amir and I are really, I hope you can see our authenticity through these podcasts, because we're really opening up and being vulnerable, so that if this reaches someone and they can relate, like you're not alone in your struggle is what I'm trying to say. anyways, after I graduated, I was working in something that had nothing, like it wasn't even in my field. And, you know, naturally what happens, you know, for a lot of, I guess, you know, I can talk about just women in general, but specifically in the East African community, when you graduate, the next question, the next like stage in your life is automatically like legit. My parents were like, all right, so time for you to get married. And it just happened to be that year, Sabri, like my brother got married. So all eyes were on me at this point. I'm like, sheesh, let him do the wedding first. Like, you know, let him settle in and then you guys can harass me next. And so they had that pressure on me. And there were a couple of people my age who had already gotten married. And so they're like, well, come on, Sarah. And I'm like, oh shoot, like they're right. And so now it's like they didn't bother me every day, but their comments here and there, or people like other family members and stuff, when they say these things, it sticks in your head. And it might not affect you in the moment, but like when you're like, you know, having those conversations in your head, you're like, why aren't I married? I'm now like 22, 23, like.
So we had like a similar situation when I had felt those pressures. You started getting that pressure as well. But you got a little bit at, I guess, a younger age or earlier.
I mean, it started honestly ever since I turned like 19. They're like, all right. I was like, yo, chill. let me. And the thing is that my mom has always been like, finish school and then get married. I was like, I'm not even allowed to like look at guys. And you just want me to graduate, and is a guy just gonna magically walk up to you guys and be like, all right, I'm ready to marry your daughter? Like, it doesn't make sense. So
not like back home anymore.
Right? So, you know, not that I was even looking for a relationship, because for me, after I graduated and all that year, I knew that I had a lot of self-work to do. Like, I knew it. I just didn't know where to start. That was my problem, is I didn't know where to start. Like, what do? I go to therapy? Like, what do I do? So I had that in the back of my mind. And then the next progression of the next stage of my life happened. And I got into a relationship. And in my head, I knew I wasn't ready for it. But I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is naturally what's supposed to happen. And so I kind of just dove head first, like whatever. I did what I had to do. And, you know, things happened, and it didn't end up working out. And that's okay. It didn't end up working out. And then I, like, remember how I told you my rock bottom? It was like a constant state. Now I really plummeted. I went below rock bottom at this point. Because
you were under the rock.
I was under the...
Or I guess... I don't know.
Yeah, that didn't really make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because you're already... Just keep going.
We'll just edit that out. Or maybe not.
No, they can hear how dumb I am.
I was below rock bottom at this point. And so... And it was really because... It was a question that I asked you where I said, did you feel like your success in school or work, did you attribute that to your self-worth? And I 100% did. And then it's like, now I had this failed engagement and I was like, oh my God, I'm a failure in life. Literally. And so I plummeted at this point, and because I didn't work on myself before. And so I tried to, you know, have this relationship where I was like, should not have been in. And so now I was like, you know, when you're playing Mario Kart and you're doing the race and you fall off the racetrack and that hand picks you up and brings you back to a random spot in the race. The turtle dude. That was me. So I felt like I was on this course of life. I thought I was going in one direction, right? And then I fell off the course, and then the hand just brought me back and put me in some random road, and I was like, where the F am I going? Literally, that was me. I was like, what am I doing? I need to get a new job. Like, the job that I was working, I didn't even like it. I was like severely depressed. Like, I just did not know what I was like. I couldn't even think into the next month, into the future, because I didn't know what I had in store. And that's when, you know, after like a couple of months of like wallowing in my sadness, I was like, all right, it's time to like, I gotta figure my shit out, you know? And so for me, what I did was I first of all had to like check myself, like, why is it that I'm feeling this way? Obviously, you know, you have a breakup, like you deal with that, and then everything else that came before that I also had to deal with. So to some people on the outside, they're like, damn, that girl's really going through it. Like, she's really that sad about a breakup. I wish like
It was just that?
Yeah, I wish it was just that. Because not that I'm minimizing the pain of a breakup, but it was so much more than that.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that I was like just crying over this one thing. It's like, man, if you only knew. And it's like, even if someone says what's wrong, where do you begin? Like, what do you even say? Like, I didn't even know what was wrong. I had to figure out what's wrong with me, you know? And that's why I was telling you, like, when we spoke about the quarantine episode, like, a lot of people were worried and stuff. When quarantine happened, I really I was happy that life slowed down, because it gave me the chance to like spend time with myself. Yeah. And like, I know people hate when, you know, people preach about self-love, but like, for once in my life, I was like spending time with myself and really getting to know me. Like, why was I this way? Like, why was I this way? Why did I feel like that? And for me, what worked was, I actually did do some reading, but not too much. I did do some reading, but it was mostly like I was listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos. Yeah. I basically like became my own therapist. And I know that's not really conventional, and a lot of people don't really agree with it or like approach. Suggest it. Yeah. Yeah. But it was something that worked for me, because you know what, therapy is not for everyone, and I didn't want to go to a therapist without knowing how I truly felt. Because if they say what's wrong, I didn't know. What was I going to say? Yeah. Well,
they'll dig that out of you eventually.
I know they're professionals. That's their job. But like for me, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I was like, let me try to do this work on myself first. And if I still feel like I still need to go, then I'll go. But I wanted to try myself first. And it took me time. And the biggest lesson that I learned was that your healing process is not linear. Like, it's not something that, like, because at first in my mind I was like, oh, you know what I mean, I'm gonna give myself 6 months and I'm gonna be good. Yeah 6 months later I wasn't good. So and that I took it hard, because I put this pressure on myself now, like, you know what I mean. And even people always say, oh, you should travel after a breakup. I did that, and I remember on the plane I was like, oh, when I come back from this trip I'm gonna be so happy.
Nah, that's not how it works.
I was in for a reality check. That plane ride back to Toronto, I was like, I hate my life. Yeah. So the biggest lesson that I learned from doing all of that work was that it's okay if you have a bad day, but as you're healing, the bad days become very few. Yeah. And even if you have them, you know how to deal with it now. Yeah. And then I started to shift my mind. I can't remember what podcast I heard this from, but the person that was speaking was saying, you need to take your mindset and take it out of like, oh, I'm having a bad day. Because if you wake up and you're like, oh, this is going to be a bad day, then you will have a bad day. But if you're like, okay, this is a bad moment, this is a bad morning. Yeah. But the rest of the day could be great. So then I was like, oh, that's so true, because I do that. Yeah. Like, I'll say, yeah, I'm having a bad day, and I really just let the whole day be shitty. Yeah. But now if I wake up and I'm not in a good mood, I'm like, hey, let me do something that's going to boost my mood or put me in a better attitude so that I can have a great rest of the day. Yeah. So that
instead of wallowing in that little sadness.
Right. And oh my God, I used to love like wallowing. I was the type of person, I would stab myself in the back and then twist the knife and just suffer even more. Like, I was that type of person. Yeah. Very sadistic, I know, but I loved it. And I also used to love like listening to really sad songs, like just things that like,
oh my God, you were pulling out like
I was trying to break my own heart.
What's that Singing in the Rain? Not Singing in the Rain, but the girl who's singing in the rain. Is it JoJo?
Hillary Duff?
Hillary Duff. But there's that one, the girl with the black hair that he really used to love.
Oh, Ashley Simpson.
Ashley Simpson, exactly.
I love her.
I can't remember which song she made, but just the way she looked, I just feel like she would sing sad songs or something. I don't know.
Some of her songs are pretty sad. But yeah, like in general, I guess this is to say, like, I remember the times where I could not see the light at the end. I didn't even think there would be a light at the end. I was just in the tunnel. Yeah. Not going anywhere. I stood still and I was like, yep, this is my life. And eventually, you know, as you work on yourself, you're digging yourself out of that tunnel. Yeah. You start to see little cracks. Yeah. And then you make it through the other side and you're like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't give up. I'm so happy that I didn't.
Yeah. And then when you look back at it, you're like, okay, I learned a lot. Like,
oh yeah,
you'd be a completely different person if you didn't go through that.
Yeah. You know? 100%. I think I was my naiveness and the fact that I was very sheltered. Yeah. Put me in that position. It's okay. It's a learning experience. Yeah. And I think everything is written and meant to happen to you in order for you to grow as a person, to learn these lessons.
Yeah.
And I think one point that you brought up on was you just getting closer in terms of like your deen, like you really strengthened your iman, your faith.
Yeah.
That was something that I did, and it really, I saw the difference within myself, and it all comes down to just like being appreciative of the blessings that we have.
Being grateful. I'm actually wearing a shirt right now. It says,
yeah, I like that shirt.
What does it say on the back actually?
Let me see.
1 second. I don't know what it says.
Good is everywhere. You just have to look. Wait. Oh, you just have to look. And then it says grateful.
There you go.
I like that shirt. Where'd you get it?
I think the company is actually called Grateful Apparel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So, I like to wear shirts with like, reinforcing good messages on them.
I like it.
Yeah. But I think, so one thing we can kind of point out here is the common denominator here is that a lot of our issues came down to outside pressure instead of like something internal. Like I feel like the reason that we hit rock bottom or felt like we were hitting rock bottom is because we weren't
living up to the
expectations of the people that were putting that pressure on us, right?
But for me, I subliminally put those pressures on myself too. Like my parents weren't the type to like harass me daily or weekly. You know what I mean? Like,
but they don't realize the small things that they say actually.
It shifted the way that I thought about it, and I was like, oh, maybe they're right. Like, why aren't I getting married? Why aren't I having this type of job with this type of income? Like, why don't I have a car? Why don't I mean, obviously I can't move out, so,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like things like that. And obviously, comparison is such a thief of joy. And I feel like everybody does it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't compare myself. No, you do.
Yeah.
But now I've changed my outlook and I compare myself to myself. Like, where do I want to be?
Yeah.
What, like, everyone is you're all in your own lane. You're not comparing or competing with anyone but yourself. I know it's easier said than done, but try not to compare yourself in any way to another person. And social media does not help with that. No,
not at all. And that's why I avoid social media. I don't avoid it.
Limit your time on it.
I limit my time on it. And now, thankfully, with the perspective that I have, I can see other people's, what they have and all those things. Is not really.
It doesn't affect
you. It doesn't affect me as much. But early on, I realized how much it would affect me, so I just stopped.
Did you notice
consuming it
when you take those social media breaks, or if you're just taking a couple steps back?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're happier? You're more content?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because especially around the time where. I think it was even around the same time where I had that second sort of rock bottom thing. That was the time where a lot of people were starting to graduate from university and get those really nice jobs, or not even just jobs, just, you see the graduation photos and you realize, okay, I didn't graduate. And you see all your parents are looking at the photos or liking the photos or they're talking about, oh, this person graduated from here.
Yeah.
What are they doing now? And then when you hear all that stuff, it can get to you, right? So even if it's not material things, just seeing that other people are doing things that you felt like your parents wanted you to do as well can also put you in a negative state. I mean, your mind in a negative state.
Even in that sense, though, people will only share the wins.
Yeah.
You think they're going to say, oh, yeah, my son failed out of his class. He failed this course. He has to repeat it in summer school. No one will ever talk about the struggles. They'll only ever talk about the wins. And it's if only life was that easy where we only had wins, then we wouldn't appreciate them as much.
Yeah.
You need to have the lows in order to appreciate the highs,
Definitely.
So just remember, guys, whatever's on social media, it's literally a highlight reel.
That's a big part of it. Like you mentioned, you graduated, but you were definitely
I wasn't happy.
Yeah, you weren't happy. A lot of people you might be seeing, I'm not saying that they're not happy. I'm just saying to give you some perspective, those people who are posting those things, they look happy, their family looks happy, but they personally might not feel like this is the worst time of their life.
Yeah, I fully posted pictures and I was like, yeah, I graduated. But I was Amir, it was a dark time.
You never know what a person is going through.
Oh, 100%.
And that's why I always make sure to treat people nicely. Even if a person is being negative towards you or treating you with bad manners, I try and at least treat them with better manners.
Right.
And at least not stoop down to their level.
Right.
Because you never know, the day before, especially if there's someone you don't normally know, the day before, maybe someone in their family passed away, and they're just not a good mood. It might not be an excuse for why they're acting like that.
Right.
But at least you can kind of understand why they might be acting like that. and maybe you being positive or being good towards that person might I don't know, change their mindset on what's going on, and maybe make them more positive, or treat the next person they speak to in a more positive way because of that interaction that you had with them.
Like, think about it when you've had like a bad day, and if, like, say for example, you're having a bad morning, you're late for work, you're now in the drive-through for Tim Hortons, and the car in front of you tells the drive-through person, like, hey, pay for the, like, I'm gonna pay for the guy behind me. Imagine, and you pull up, and the lady says, oh, the person in front of you paid for your drink. Your day would be made.
Yeah.
And then you instantly, your bad day just disappears. So it's like, you know, it doesn't kill to be kind to people. I'm not saying that you specifically, but in general, like, whoever is listening to this, it doesn't kill to be kind to people, because you never know what they're going through. And one act of kindness could literally change not only someone's day, but sometimes someone's life. Like, you never know the impact you have on people. And it's crazy that not everyone really gets that. Like, sometimes you have to be in that position, and it has to be done to you in order for, like, you know, for you to be like, wow, that's, you know, this like, person did this for me. And
leading by example. If you see someone else doing something, it might change your perspective and be like, okay, well, like, you know, maybe I by being more positive, it might change, I don't know, my life direction, or like,
but it makes you happier too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll bring up your own mood.
Yeah,
like they say, what do they say when you smile, even if you're feeling sad, whatever, it'll naturally
you naturally feel happier,
start to feel more happier over time. Yeah, so a lot of it is just perspective and just making sure to be kind.
Yeah.
That's so we were talking about like hitting rock bottom due to like pressures and things going on in our life. But like, where do you think you would be if you didn't have any pressure in life? If you didn't have those pressures of going to university right away, do you think you'd be more successful in life?
I think that if I didn't have those pressures, I would hope anyway that I wouldn't be as afraid to take risks. But I also feel like those pressures and that discomfort, that uncomfortable feeling is what pushed me to like eventually get to this point. Because when I hit rock bottom, after my relationship ended, I was uncomfortable because I couldn't, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I literally felt very lost in life. And that discomfort is what forced me, like, I wanted it to change. And like, it took me some time to like find my footing because I didn't know where I was going. But once I did, I had a clear vision in my head, like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to accomplish it by any means necessary. So there's that saying, and I know it's cliche whenever we use saying sometimes, but nothing good comes out of the comfort zone. And when you don't have any pressures and you're not afraid to take risks to do something that interests you, like, sometimes it might be seen as like unconventional, like you're doing something that people wouldn't normally do. And then, you know, in our community, people will talk about you if you're not following the line. So if there were no pressures, I think like we would be happier? Maybe. Maybe. I think we'd be a lot more carefree. I think now we're at a point where we really have to put thought behind everything that we do. And with the reason. Makes sense why. But I can't even imagine being carefree to that like where I'm just doing whatever I want. I don't know.
Like, I think there was one where there's like some dude who just graduated high school, and he told his parents, like, I'm just gonna, you know, travel around Europe and like India and stuff for just a year or so, just to figure out what I want to do. And that's the same person. That was the same person who actually created the GoPro.
Oh no way! Really?
He went from like Australia to all over. He's going from Australia, not all Europe, but like Australia and like India and stuff. And he's surfing. And he's like, you know what? While he's just like chilling, he's like, you know, I wish I could just film myself. And then he created the GoPro to be like waterproof and filming for him. But I feel like that's just one of the exceptions. But generally, I feel like pressure, like they say, you know, pressure creates diamonds. Yeah. So pressure can actually be a good thing. Like, I used to think about it in a negative way, and I used to think that for my question earlier.
But it's good pressure. Not the negative pressure. Like, you know, and I'm not trying to like hate on our parents in any way whatsoever, because they pressure us, rightfully so. They sacrificed their lives. They came here with nothing. And a lot of our parents, mashallah, like, on minimum wage jobs, bought property. They raised us all. None of us are in debt. Like, I mean, I hope not anyway.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the school debt, okay? But I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not worrying about our next meal. We have new clothes every year, every Eid, every whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we are so blessed in that sense.
Yeah.
And our parents did that from nothing. And so they obviously they're gonna have higher expectations because we were born here.
Yeah.
We speak the language. We have a chance, as they like to say. Like, you guys have a chance. You can go to school. It's an equal opportunity for you. And so I understand it in that aspect. So I have to commend them, and I respect that they put this pressure on us. But I think it's not just pressure, because I don't think any parent truly puts that negative pressure on us. You know what I mean? Like, they also
don't mean to put it in a negative way.
Yeah, but it's also like society.
Yeah.
Like our community. And then you're comparing your child with your friend's child.
Yeah.
Oh, my child got a 4.0 GPA or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you're like, well, what's your GPA? You know, they come and question you. And that's the one thing I don't like about our community is how they compare. Like, just don't compare.
Yeah.
Everyone's in their own lane. Like, if your kid got a 4.0, like, good for them. That's amazing.
By the way, kids, your GPA does not matter.
It really doesn't.
At all after university.
You could be book smart, okay? But you could be dumb as hell on the streets.
Unless you're going to, like, what is it, grad? What's the next thing?
Grad school?
Grad school, exactly.
Yeah, whatever.
It doesn't
I guess
really
it matters
matter.
for that. But, like, in general, just because you're good at school doesn't make you a smart person.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
There are definitely a lot of people out there who have all the book smarts but no street smarts.
Oh, my God. Yep.
And, like, those are the people who ironically are the ones who are struggling to find certain jobs. Because even though you have all these book smarts, if you're not good in the interview room, they can't see themselves working with you unless it's like something where it's more on the IT side, like if you're programming or doing something where it doesn't require a lot of like interaction or group work.
Right.
But nowadays, a lot of the jobs that you're working with require some type of group work, or what do you call it when you're working with collaboration? Exactly. So they're going to be looking for those communication skills, see if you're like sociable with the people.
Yeah.
And those are not skills that you learn. Well, you can learn them in school, but it depends on exactly which groups you're kind of hanging out with, right?
Right.
Yeah. And if you are hanging out with groups.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, I get it. Sometimes people are just naturally very to themselves and they're introverted, but like, nothing good comes out of the comfort zone. Go hang out with people that you haven't like spoken to before. I know that our community is so small and a lot of us already know each other. And once you know the COVID restrictions are lifted and we're able to like travel and stuff, I'm sure when we have like the next Kuba, I think this is my hope. I hope that people are more open to like getting to know each other and just like, you know, networking amongst our own community and outside of that too.
Yeah, definitely. So that's going to be interesting. Like after 3 years of not seeing people, because I don't know if it would change how sociable you are. Like people, especially in COVID, for a lot of people.
You think their social meter has been affected?
Yeah, I feel like it might have stripped a lot of, at least the younger people, of those like social development years, especially for high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're at this point. At least it's maybe 2 years or 2 school years kind of where people are missing out on that, especially when they miss out on like graduation and like,
I know,
like I feel like grade 12 was a big part of where you learned. I feel like I changed a lot in grade 12 because at that point you kind of figured out school. So it's a lot more social stuff.
That's
that you're
so
doing.
true.
Yeah,
you
figured out the game at that point.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just moving on from there. You're chilling. Like you already, at that point you might already be in university by like, I think it's by like January, February. You already know you're going to the next school.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure you get
you apply. Grades. You apply in January, February, don't you? I don't remember.
Honestly, it's been so long I can't remember now.
We're aging ourselves at this point. But I really don't remember. Like when isn't it January that you apply and then you find out by like March, April?
Is it?
Or was it September? Like, do you apply in November?
I thought you like applied in like November and got it by like February or something. And then you just have to keep your GPA above like a certain point after that.
Oh.
Damn, it's been really long.
I wish I could remember, but I don't.
Well, I don't even remember. Honestly, I 100% don't remember when I graduated high school. What year? Do you remember what year?
2010.
10?
10 or 2009?
I don't know.
2010.
Was it 2010?
Because that's when we started university. 2000.
2010.
Wait,
That's
really?
11 years ago, man.
Stop it. Oh my god, yeah, because I was 17 when I graduated high school, and I'm 28 now. Oh my god.
I don't want to think about that. Forget it. Change topic. I don't want to remember how old I am. But honestly, actually, no, this is a good thing. You know, I feel like I've learned a lot since then. Like, I'm a very different person from then. Yeah.
I think, do you think 17-year-old you would have liked the 28-year-old you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, 17-year-old me was like scrawny. Wasn't really very sociable.
I think you were.
Was I? Like, I was
so.
like within us, but like not like in general. Yeah, like I wasn't a very good public speaker. I got nervous a lot. Yeah, I still had a lot of growing to do, and it showed because like when I went into university, I wasn't prepared. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't like what I was doing.
You and me both, my friend.
Yeah, to the point where I left. I was like, I'm done this.
See, that's the difference between me and you. You had the courage to leave. I didn't have the courage to leave. I was like, I'm just gonna suffer.
Well, I had the courage, and also they're like, yo, if you don't get your GPA above a certain point, you're gone, bro.
Yeah, to answer my own question, I would say, yeah, I would be really proud, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely like, you know, naturally, if you're not growing as a person over time, then you gotta reevaluate your life, man. If you're the same person you were even 5 years ago, I feel you should continue to evolve. Like, and do you feel like this is the same? I don't know, because we're not that age yet, but do you feel like even as you get older, you should continue to evolve as a person?
Absolutely.
Even into your 40s, your 50s?
Absolutely. I think we have, okay, so I was actually talking about this with one of my friends, and it was like, I was so shook by the conversation because I was like, wow. Like, so we brought up, do you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Do you remember learning that in psychology? Okay, so there's
I never
this guy.
took psychology, remember?
Oh, okay. So there's a psychologist, Abraham Maslow. I can't believe I remember his name. I sound smart. Wow. Okay.
That's that university degree going into effect.
You see that, guys? So he had this theory that there's this hierarchy of needs. It was like a pyramid. Like every human being strives to achieve these goals. These needs. Yeah. So it starts off with like the basic, you know, like shelter, safety, food. And then it starts to go up with like, let me just Google it real quick because I don't remember the details. On now. 1 second.
Was it Maslow's
hierarchy?
That's ironic. Literally, I opened my phone and the first thing that popped was Instagram with a graduation post.
Oh, no way. Our phones are listening to us. Okay, I got it here. Okay. So it starts off with physiological needs. So like, you know, food, air, water, etc., shelter. Shelter. And then it goes up to safety needs, like security and safety. Then it goes up to psychological needs, so belongingness and love needs. So, you know, you need like relationships, family, friends, etc. It then goes up the fourth level, esteem needs. So, you know, prestige, feeling of accomplishment. Yeah. And then there's this top tier level. It's called self-actualization, where you feel like you are now knowing yourself. You understand your purpose in life. And when I was talking to my friend, she was saying like a lot of our parents, their focus was the basic needs, the bottom two. And we have the luxury to like really say, who am I?
Work on those next levels.
What is my purpose? Yeah. And I was like, wow. Like, wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't even, I think we took that part for granted.
And it is kind of, it's kind of like a sad thing because like once you do go through that self-actualization and then you start to see in other people who haven't gone through it yet. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, so much to learn.
If you have that savior complex, you're like, come, let me help. Yeah. That's me.
That's why we started the podcast, guys.
Exactly. That's why we here.
Yeah, because you definitely start to notice it once you are reached that level. Yeah. Of course, you're still working on yourself, but at least you can notice it more in other people as well as you interact with them.
And even now, I find that I'm like asking my parents these questions, like, what's your purpose in life? And they're looking at me and they're like, what are you talking about? What do you mean, what's our purpose? And, you know, for me, I connected it religiously speaking. We know our purpose in life. That question is answered.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, aside from that, what else are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So for our parents who maybe never had that opportunity, it's like now where we are quote unquote established, their children are now established. We have our jobs. We're able to support ourselves.
We have our RSPs, TFSAs.
I know, right? Look at us adulting. Now I'm turning back to them like, hey, let's get you guys up to speed now too. And I think that's one thing that we should really do for our parents, because all they're thinking of is like
survival.
They're in survival mode. But for like 50 years, like, come on, catch a break. Like, cut yourself some slack. You did amazing. MashaAllah. Like, may Allah reward our parents, and really, hopefully they're pleased with us and how we give back to them, because there is no way. Like, sometimes I think back, like, when my mom and dad were my age, like, they had 2 kids and they're about to purchase their first home. You know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy to me, and I'm just here chilling, like, rent free. So it's amazing to me. And I feel like part of that self-actualization journey for me is also like spreading that to the people around me in my circle. Like, whether it's you guys, my cousins, my close friends, my parents, my siblings, or sibling and you. But yeah, like that was just something that I had to share. Yeah,
it's definitely I think we can probably end it off on that, but yeah, it's definitely like something we hope we can spread to other people, and they can be more aware of it now. I wish I could give some like literature for maybe things they can, like, the only thing that I've mentioned before was like the emotional.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that.
That was one book I read. If I ever think of more, I'll probably mention them in future podcasts.
I've been looking for I've been looking for I mean, there's different ways to get to know yourself. Like, there's so many aspects to who we are. Like, you want to get to know yourself in terms of your strengths, your weaknesses, in every aspect, in all different types of relationships, what you're good at, your hobbies, what you're not good at, how to overcome. There's so much to learn about us, So yeah, did you have anything else to?
No, I'm going to end it off there. I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Sarah's made us some food today.
And chicken.
So we're going to be chowing down on that in a few minutes here. But yeah, hopefully you guys learned a lot from what we spoke about today, and can at least relate to some of our experiences. Yeah. And I'm
excited to like carry on this conversation.
Yeah.
Outside of the podcast,
because everybody has a different story, right? But
yeah, like rock bottom looks different for everyone. Like, just because we shared our experiences doesn't mean like if you had a different rock bottom, that's okay. It's totally acceptable. Like, everyone's rock bottom is going to look different, So if you are struggling to maybe find a way up, we got you. We will extend our arms out. We'll pull you up. We're not professionals in any way whatsoever. Just throwing that out there.
You can shoot me a message. I might, but then again, like Sarah knows, there's a 3 to 5 day waiting period for my messages. I am still
the cousin connection.
I do reply like a light skin. No colors.
Wow. You really just said that.
But we ain't about that colorism here. Just so y'all can relate.
I can't believe you just said that.
But yeah, we're just gonna end it there. My name's Amir.
My name is Sarah.
You can follow our podcast at Cousin Connection Pod on Instagram. Follow Sarah at Ali Sarah __.
Wow!
Did I get it right?
You got it
hey, there you go. And you can follow me at Amir was taken on Instagram as well. And yeah, have a good rest of your week, people.
Bye.
Bye.